If you've ever felt like you're speaking a different language than everyone in the room, there's probably a reason for that. And it has nothing to do with being awkward or arrogant. High intelligence creates behavioral patterns that most people completely misunderstand. And today we're uncovering the 5 subtle signs that you're actually smarter than the people around you, plus what to do about it so you stop feeling like an outsider. Here's what nobody tells you about intelligence. It's not about knowing more facts or solving equations faster. Real cognitive ability shows up in how you process information, handle uncertainty, and navigate complexity. And ironically, these strengths often make you seem weird to other people. Let me explain. Sign number 1. The first sign is that you're comfortable saying, "I don't know." This sounds backwards, right? Shouldn't smart people have all the answers? But here's the thing. When researchers study expertise and intelligence, they find that truly intelligent people have what's called epistemic humility. That's a fancy way of saying they understand the limits of their own knowledge. Your brain is constantly running probability calculations, weighing evidence, and updating beliefs. When you say "I don't know," you're not admitting defeat. You're demonstrating that you can distinguish between what you understand deeply and what you're uncertain about. Most people can't do this. They confuse confidence with competence, so they fill gaps in their knowledge with assumptions and gut feelings. Meanwhile, you're over there saying, "I'm not sure. Let me think about that." And people mistake your intellectual honesty for insecurity. The actionable piece here? Start noticing when others are absolutely certain about things they shouldn't be. That's your signal that you're operating on a different cognitive level. And embrace your uncertainty as a strength. The smartest people in any room are usually the ones asking questions, not making declarations. Sign number 2. You get bored incredibly easily, especially in conversations that stay surface level. If you find yourself mentally checking out when people discuss the weather, celebrity gossip, or who said what at the office, your brain isn't being rude. It's starving. High intelligence correlates with something called need for cognition. Essentially, your brain requires complex problems to chew on the same way your body requires food. When conversations stay shallow, it's like being served empty calories. Your neural networks literally crave depth, nuance, and intellectual challenge. This is why you might zone out during small talk, but become completely energized during a debate about philosophy, systems thinking, or how something actually works. Other people notice this pattern and sometimes interpret it as you thinking you're too good for normal conversation. Here's the reality. Your brain has a higher threshold for stimulation. Think of it like this. Some people are satisfied with a kiddie pool. You need the ocean. The practical strategy? Don't fight your need for depth, but learn to ask better questions. Instead of suffering through surface chat, gently steer conversations deeper. Ask, "Why do you think that is?" Or "What would happen if instead of just nodding along?" You'll either unlock more interesting dialogue or quickly identify who can actually meet you at your level. Sign number 3. Third sign, and this one's crucial. You spend a lot of time alone, and you genuinely prefer it. Society tells us that constant socializing equals happiness, and that loners are somehow broken. But research on intelligence and social behavior reveals something fascinating. Highly intelligent people report lower life satisfaction when they socialize frequently, while the opposite is true for most people. Why? Because your brain is already generating enough stimulation internally. You've got complex thoughts, multiple projects, deep interests, and rich inner worlds. Social interaction, especially low-quality interaction, actually drains your cognitive resources rather than replenishing them. It's not that you dislike people. It's that you need solitude to process, create, and recharge. Most people externalize their thinking through constant conversation. You internalize and synthesize. The people around you might call you antisocial or aloof, but you're just operating with a different energy economy. Here's what to do with this. Stop apologizing for needing alone time. Set boundaries around your solitude the same way you'd protect time for any important activity. And when you do socialize, be selective. Quality over quantity isn't just a platitude for you. It's a survival strategy. Sign number 4. Now here's the 4th pattern, and it might hit close to home. You have a hard time celebrating your wins because you immediately see the next problem or limitation. Someone compliments your work, and instead of saying thank you, you launch into everything that's wrong with it. You achieve a goal, and before the day ends, you're focused on what's next. This isn't imposter syndrome, though it can feel like it. This is your brain's pattern recognition system working overtime. Intelligent minds naturally spot gaps, inconsistencies, and areas for improvement. It's an incredible asset for problem solving, but a terrible trait for personal satisfaction. Your brain is essentially running constant quality control, which means you rarely experience uncomplicated success. Everything comes with caveats, asterisks, and areas you could have done better. Other people see this and think you're either fishing for compliments or being falsely modest. Neither is true. You're just several steps ahead, already analyzing what could be improved. The fix here requires deliberate practice. When someone acknowledges your success, pause for 3 full seconds before responding. Let yourself actually receive the compliment. Then practice saying just thank you without the disclaimer. Train your brain to occasionally turn off the analysis engine and exist in the moment of achievement. This doesn't come naturally to you, which is exactly why it's important. Sign number 5, fifth and final sign. You change your mind frequently, and you don't see this as weakness. Most people pick a position and defend it like their life depends on it. You treat beliefs like hypotheses, updating them as new information arrives. This is called cognitive flexibility, and it's one of the strongest markers of genuine intelligence. But here's where it gets socially complicated. People interpret your willingness to change your mind as being wishy-washy or lacking conviction. They've confused rigidity with integrity. Your brain, meanwhile, is doing exactly what it should, integrating new data, testing assumptions, and refining models of how things work. You're not flip-flopping. You're evolving your thinking in real time. This makes you incredibly effective at learning and adapting, but it can make others distrust you. They want consistency. You want accuracy. The actionable approach? When you change your mind, explain your reasoning. Don't just switch positions. Walk people through what new information shifted your perspective. This helps others understand that your flexibility isn't randomness, it's rigor. And surround yourself with people who value growth over being right. Those are your people. What this all means. So here's what all of this actually means. If you recognize yourself in these patterns, you're not broken, difficult, or socially deficient. You're operating with cognitive patterns that most people don't share. The discomfort you feel isn't a personal failure. It's a mismatch between how your brain works and how society expects you to behave. The solution isn't dumbing yourself down or forcing yourself into social molds that don't fit. It's understanding your own operating system and finding environments where these traits are assets, not liabilities. Seek out complexity in your work, depth in your relationships, and give yourself permission to need what you actually need, not what everyone else seems to want. Here's your action step. Pick one of these 5 signs and pay attention to it this week. Notice when it shows up, how people react, and how you typically respond. That awareness alone will shift how you navigate these moments. And if this resonated with you, subscribe because we're diving deeper into the psychology of how high-performing minds actually work. You're not alone in feeling out of sync. You're just playing a different game than most people realize exists.